Act 1, November 2nd, 1983. Setting, 5th floor, room 535, Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center.
Don't turn on the light, don't flush the toilet, and don't make a sound. My son is sleeping.
In the 4 a.m. dark before dawn, Anthony's mother was a hissing, guttural voice from Hades. A living gargoyle scuttling about the room, protecting her 15-year-old son's sleep. I recoiled at the ferocity of her words, sat down, and didn't make a sound. Too numb, too exhausted, to understand the fear, the anger, the pain. My husband and I held our 7-month-old daughter and each other. 6 hours earlier, we had stepped off the elevator into the world of Sloan Kettering. The 5th floor was quiet. The lights dimmed for the night. We saw 2 men making their way towards us. One with a Christmas tree on his head, and the other outfitted in a silver NASA astronaut suit. The astronaut introduced himself and asked us if we need directions. Shifting our eyes back and forth, sending silent signals, we smiled politely. Directions to another planet? Another galaxy? Instead, we were ushered into an examining room, the 3rd of the day. 13 hours and 100 miles ago, we had been to the surgeon and the pediatrician back home. Overhead, the fluorescent lights twitched and sputtered, and the questionings began.
How old are you, Mr. Kohrherr, and what do you do?
41, sporting goods sales rep.
And you, Mrs. Kohrherr?
36, housewife.
Was your pregnancy normal?
Yes.
Where do you live?
On a farm outside Lambertsville, New Jersey.
Do you have goats?
Goats.
Yes, goats.
Hundreds and hundreds of questions. Corinne was examined, her tiny hand shaking, her left leg limp, and the right lifeless. Blood work, x-rays, and a 3 a.m. trip to the underground labyrinth of the imaging labs for a myelogram. In that airy, empty tunnel, the doctor held up his hand and said, "There is a malignant tumor, almost as large as my fist, pressing against your daughter's spinal column." The linoleum floor became liquid, rose up in waves, and washed over us. Corinne's crib was draped in a sheet and wheeled back to the 5th floor, room 535. Sitting in the rocking chair, there was no movement, no sleep, only numbness and flat dreams. I swaddled Corinne in her Bambi quilt and my love. She slept, sweet baby. Sleep. That she always did. Dawn hit the room, and the hospital began to come alive. Famed cartoon monsters danced on the walls. In the hall, there were murmurs of conversations. The shift had changed. Nancy McCormick, a day nurse, came into the room, knelt by the chair, gently opened Corinne's blanket and cooed at her. In the doorway was an attending physician. White hair swept back, patrician posture. Her soft Iranian voice and words were as powerful as her presence.
Good morning, Mr. and Mrs. Kohrherr.
Holding Corinne in my arms, I stood to greet Dr. Givimi. And stage 3, neuroblastoma.
Act 2, November 19th, 1998. Setting, 5th floor, room 535, Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center. A low groan escaped my mother's pale lips. She was waking up from laparoscopic surgery for an early-stage endometrial cancer. She shifted slightly under the white sheets. Her hazel eyes opened and glinted in the sunlight as she attempted a smile. I wasn't surprised when my mother told me that she had cancer. At 15, I was no stranger to the disease, as it had become part of our family history, invading great-aunt's breast, grandfather's brain, and my infant's spine. My childhood memories are not of nursery school, but of hospital rooms and stories of difficult decisions. I bear the scars of the surgeon's scalpel and a survivor's limp. I fished through my backpack, searching for a pen to finish my German homework. Aber das hat nicht passiert. But that didn't happen. As I attempted to wipe the sleepiness out of my hazel eyes, Doctors Myers and Roseanne Tucci appeared at the front of the hospital bed. Confused, shaking her head back and forth, my mother asked,
Did I travel back in time? What day is it?
What year is it? Where am I?
The women's pavilion didn't have any available rooms, so you were brought down to the pediatric floor. Would you like to be moved to another room?
No. No, this is Corinne's old room. I recognize the dancing monsters. And Roseanne and you. It's a lucky room.
I stood at the window looking down on New York City life. White-coated physicians walked briskly and fallen leaves tumbled down York Avenue on an autumn day. Yellow taxis rushed by below, while suits sat sedentary in a meeting on an eye-level floor across the street. I drew the curtain, turned the speckled linoleum prematurely gray, and turned my attention back to the room that used to be mine. The beeping of the heart monitor, the rhythm of the rocking chair, and another low moan from my mother. I gently pulled the covers up over her. Maybe at that moment she was still in a dream state, but she was surrounded by life, not on the streets outside, but within the memories of the room we now shared. Content, I closed my eyes.